Good evening. Welcome, everybody. This is episode 36, somehow. Hope you're all having a great week. It's coming to a close. This is Anonymous Live. If it's your first time here, this is a stream where we take callers for the next couple hours. We'll just be listening to stories. We have no idea who's going to be calling or what they're going to be talking about. And it's always a good time. This is developing into a beautiful community. And this is the highlight of my week each time we do this. I get 3 highlights to my week each week because we do this 3 times a week. So this is what we do here. Welcome. Not too much to announce tonight. Actually, there's nothing to announce tonight. We're just going to go ahead and prep these phone lines. We have a 1-800 number here on the screen that you can call. And the phone lines are opening now. So get your phones ready. And we will jump right in tonight. And my notifications. Sorry, guys. I always forget to turn those off. Okay, here we go. First caller. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well. How are you tonight?
I'm doing all right. I just thought I would call back and touch upon something that's been bothering me a bit lately.
Are you a return caller?
Yes, I am.
Okay, so is what you're calling about tonight relevant to the previous call? Do you want to jog our memory before you start, or is it totally separate? It's up to you.
I could speak on what I spoke about last time, but this reason for calling is a little more like focused on like loneliness. The first call I did was about having autism and like the issues that I would have and the stress it would bring. And I think I called in about a couple weeks ago, close to a month ago. But recently, for like the last 2.5 weeks, I've just been feeling really lonely.
Hmm. What do you think it is? Is it hard to put yourself out there, or is it hard to relate with people, or what do you think it is that is causing the loneliness?
I have a very good friend group. It's about like 7, 8 people that I have hung out with all the time over the last 2 years. And all of a sudden, they just stopped communicating with me. Um, when I was last called, I spoke about, stress of a small amount of stress from my parents getting a divorce. So I hardly see my dad, and my mom's always going out and she's working every day. So it's also loneliness within family that I hardly see my parents, even though I live with my mother still, and that my closest friend group isn't really communicating with me at all anymore.
Okay. Would you call your parents or your family dismissive, or would you call them neglectful, or how would you describe the
I
family
never
dynamic?
really. Oh, sorry.
That was basically it.
I didn't mean to cut
Yeah, I was talking over you.
off.
Sorry.
It's okay. Um, I never really had the greatest relationship with my father growing up. Um, he's not the best person, you know. It what I have been told, it was the way he was raised. He would say things that would upset me. He would do things that would upset me, and now that my parents, sorry, aren't together anymore, it's just like he's slowly distancing himself from me. And like, my parents could still be friends, my parents could still get along, but like, if you get with someone else or if you move somewhere else, you shouldn't distance yourself from your kid. And he would always travel out of town every week, only be home one day on the weekend, and then he would be gone again all over the US. And I just didn't really have my father there in my life for, I would say, 3 years, 4 years, when he would do it, from when I was about turning 14 up until now. With the divorce, it's starting to like spiral down on me because, you're supposed to have your family there. You're supposed to gain support from your family. And I just, I'm not really getting that anymore. I mean, I spend time with my mom. I talk with my mom. I'm very, very close with my mother still. But I tell people this, and I don't know why I feel like people don't listen, but I literally say, I sit up alone at night and I just feel horrible because of how alone I really feel. And people will say, "Oh, I'm here for you. I'm here for you." I try to reach out and then I don't hear anything. So I'm just like trapped in like my own head. Like I feel like I have nobody, if that makes any sense.
Right. It does make a lot of sense. It's strange. Just before I turned the camera on tonight and started this stream, I was thinking about the same thing you're talking about. I was thinking about how at times in my own life, and it's kind of also a recurring theme here on this stream from the callers we hear from, that the loneliest people tend to, it tends to turn into this like this this spiral of loneliness that gets out of control. And I was thinking about 30 minutes ago, what is that? Why is it that people, when you tell them that something's wrong or that you've got some stuff that you want to talk about, why is it that so few people can be there for you? And, I'm not sure I have the answer to that. I do wonder, of course, I don't know you. I do know that from my own experience at times in my own life when I've gone through seasons of loneliness, or friends who've said they're there for me, but they're just saying it with their words and they're not really showing up. And of course, actions speak louder than words, so that can be very telling when friends say, "Oh, I'm here for you," like you said, or I'm here to listen or whatever, and then they're just not. Those actions do tend to speak louder than words, and they can hurt. And I think that's really relatable, what you're talking about. I don't know you. I do wonder, I'm asking this only from my own experience, not as a judgment on you, because again, I don't know how you're applying yourself. I don't know how you're showing up in your own friendships, but it does make me wonder. Instead of asking it as a question, I'll just put it as a statement from my own experience, and then let you respond to it, because I don't want you to think that I'm telling you what you're doing, because I don't know what you're doing. But I know that at times in my own life, in years past, when I've gone through seasons of upheaval of friendships or friend groups, I've been through a number of transitions in my own life where certain friends have not known how to be there for me, and I've gone through a lot of different friend groups. And one of the things I've noticed that's a tendency that I had in years past was that I would, you've got two different kinds of friends. Typically, the average person, you got like your best friends that are like your closest friends that you can tell anything to, and then you've got this like outer ring of friends that are not super close, but they're, they'll hang out and you have common interests. And that outer ring, in my own experience, was a group of friends that I had to learn to try and actively use that outer ring of friends to pull myself out and thrust myself forward into the mental state that I wanted to be in, and then use my inner group to be more vulnerable and candid and intimate with. And so that you're getting that kind of like, you're getting that inner support that you need from the closest friends you have that really truly do care. And of course, that's going to be a smaller number of people in that inner group than would be in the, more acquaintance type friend group, that outer ring. And I wonder if that's true for you. I wonder if you're possibly in a season where you're going through a lot of change and a lot of development. And maybe I wonder if you've tried to use the tension between those two types of friend groups to thrust you into this new season of life, or if that makes any sense at all. I'm talking a lot, so I'll turn it over to you.
That's okay. For a long time now, I would say since middle school, I connect really strong with people online. And that is where a lot of the friends I have are, because I will go out in person and try and talk to people and try and introduce myself, go to what I'm interested in, try and talk to people at a guitar store or a board game place or whatever, and applying for jobs and this and that, and doing things that I know are going to get me out there to try and meet new people. But I have my friend group, and then the other people, like from the anonymous server and the other servers I'm in, they're kind of like not necessarily a rebound, but it's like my advantage to break out and introduce myself to new people and try and talk to new people. Because whenever I've made friends around me in person, they've never really stuck around. I think like the last few people that I've became quote unquote like good friends with, they would leave after not even a month of getting to know me. And it happens online too. And I don't necessarily know if there's something wrong with me. I don't know if they don't like feel, not attraction as in like romantic, I mean like as in friendship, like that brings people together to like get along and speak to each other. And I don't know if they can see that I'm trying to reach out. I don't know if I look like an asshole. Like I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. But I don't know. It's been a while, and I think I'm in the like support area in the server almost every night whenever I have no one to talk to. And I speak to some really nice people in there, but like it's always surrounded by other people, so it's kind of hard to talk one-on-one and become friends with people, because I've never done well with groups. More than 3 people, I either feel like I'm not noticed or I start freaking out. And I've just been tired of putting myself out there, because I put myself out there a lot. I talk to people, I text people every day, I call people, I go biking around my area every day. I do anything that I can. Go to 10 different stores in a span of a week, and I'm always trying to introduce myself to people online and in person, and I just can't really click with anybody. I know
Well,
that was a lot. I'm sorry.
no. I'm tracking. Uh, a little while ago, you said that you wondered if it was something wrong with you uh, that's causing this to happen. And, you know,
Mhm.
I don't think that, I want to encourage you not to look at it that way. I don't know that that's a productive way to look at it. You may be going through some things that are difficult and heavy, and you may be learning how best to get the support you need, and uh, and also to expand your social circle. And those are two different things. You know, getting the support you need and expanding your social circle, you're making more friends. Those are two different things. Uh, so uh, I wouldn't look at it like there's something wrong with you and that's why you're lonely. However, you may
That's
be.
more of the, sorry,
Go ahead.
that's more of the last mindset I have. I try and I put myself out and I put myself forward to my, not my full limit, but to
Mm-hmm.
what I'm comfortable with. And if I don't catch on, or if I don't latch on to people to get to know or talk to or socialize with, then I'm starting to not think in my head like, oh, there is something wrong with me. It's just a worry of mine. I worry that there might be something I am doing wrong to people.
Mm-hmm.
I know I kind of worded it like my first go-to is me like throwing shit at myself. I'm not trying to say that because
Well, yeah.
I struggled with depression. I struggled with issues. I had bad times in my life, and I have self-care and I have self-love for myself. And the hard part is reaching out, latching on to someone, and like figuring out how to keep people around. Because whether people find me funny, attractive, whether they think I'm a good guy, or they have similar interests of mine, still, even if I meet someone that could be an exact doppelganger of me in personality, they're still like, they don't stick around. And that's what kind of makes me worry, as if, oh, I feel like I'm doing too much or I'm saying too much. And I move so fast and my mind is so occupied, it's hard to catch on or like slow down at times.
Right.
Because you get happy when you meet people that are like, yeah, I'll be here for you. And like, they'll genuinely sit down and tell you like, hey, I care about you. Because people have done that in person, online, straight to my face. Like, hey, I give a shit about you. And then it just happened the other night with one of my closest friends for like 2 years now, 2.5 years now. Me and her were talking, and she was like, yeah, I want to reach out to you more. I want to talk to you more. And then the last 3 days now, I'm completely ignored. And I'm like, what the hell? Did I do something? I'm asking every day, did I do something wrong?
Mm-hmm.
And go ahead.
No, I'm still listening. I heard a pause, but I'm still listening. Just say whatever you need to say.
I'm sorry, I'm all over the place right now.
I'm tracking. No
Sorry.
worries. Say what you need to say.
And I just I hope that there isn't something I'm doing, because I'm like on the dot 99% sure that I'm not. doing anything wrong. I'm not saying anything wrong. I'm not acting in a wrong way. But there's always that 1%, that small voice in your head that kind of makes you feel a little bit down.
Mm-hmm.
I think everyone can have that at points. You could be skyrocketing, but like there's always like one pause where in your head there could be a moment where you're like, did I fuck something up? And that kind of feels that way at points.
Right. I hear you saying pretty frequently, what is it I've done, or have I done something wrong? And I'm wondering if there's something you can pinpoint as a common denominator in these relationships that you could be doing more of. In other words, instead of looking at it like, what can I be doing less of? I'm wondering if there's anything you could be doing more of.
I reach out to multiple people on a daily basis. If it's in person, most of my family lives 20 minutes away. If it's online, I know it's just like a call or a text away. And I'll reach out to my nephew, 20 minutes away. Like, hey, do you want to come spend some time over here? It's summer. And I won't hear anything until like a week later. And I don't know if it's because he was busy at that time, but I just don't hear back. And then online, I'll see people online because you can see on Discord when people are on. Sometimes it displays their activity, and I'll text 4 or 5 people, text my group, hey, when do you want to get on and play this game? Or would you like to call and talk, catch up on things? Would you like to do something like that? And it could go a 24, 48 hours until I get a small response. And that's more of me feeling ignored at times. But then there are times where nobody will answer. I'll sit here and call 10 contacts of mine in my phone straight to voicemail on out of 9 out of 10 of them, at least probably one person would answer. And then I don't get a text or like, hey, I was busy or anything. I don't hear from them for weeks.
Right.
And I'm just like, what the hell? What's going on?
Yeah.
And
Are you there?
yes, I'm here. I didn't know if you were about to say something. I'm sorry.
I am curious your age, and then I have a couple questions for you. I'm picking up on what you're putting down. Can you? I don't remember our last conversation, so I obviously don't know your age. Could you tell us how old you are, so we know kind of where you are in life?
I am 17.
Okay, so I do think that some of this is natural development of relationships. I don't think this is the end of the world. It may feel like that. In fact, I know it could feel that way. I've felt this way in relationships, even in as recently as my late 20s and maybe my early 30s. So, learning to build relationships is a never-ending journey, I believe. I'm still learning how best to be there for the friends I have. I like to think that nobody's ever done learning. We just, if anybody thinks they're done learning anything, then they've given up. And there's always something new to learn. There's always some way to improve, no matter what it is, not just relationships. I am sensing that you are, I'm sensing that you're you're going through a lot, and you're looking for people that can be there for you. And that's a really difficult place to be, especially if you're lonely, because you don't want to overload your friends. You don't want to feel like a burden. You don't want to feel like you're sucking their energy, and yet you need people around you to give to you emotionally and relationally, and just to listen. And I'm sensing that this is something that's really I sense this is a really big problem for you. Like this is something that's really bothering you. And I hear you saying that you have tried opening up to people, saying like, I'm really lonely. I need someone to talk to. I've heard you say you're in the support channel in the anonymous live server. I think all that's great. I do wonder, what I was getting at earlier when I said, what could you be doing more of in the relationships? I'm not talking about like reaching out more or being around more. I'm talking about like, and I'm not this could come across as an accusation. So please don't hear it as, I don't know you. I don't know what you're doing. This is a question, but the question is, what could you be doing more of? And I don't know the answer to that. I'm asking you. In other words, relationships are a two-way street. The reason we make friends is because people like how we make them feel, or people benefit from the value that we contribute to the relationship. And every relationship looks different because of that, because you have your own comparative advantage socially. You have something only you can give to a relationship, or to the other person, in other words. And when I ask, what could you be doing more of? That's what I mean is, what is it that what are your passions? What are you interested? What are your interests? And how can you use those things that set you apart from other people to attract relationships, instead of going after and hoping to secure a relationship or a friendship? What is it about you that you can use to magnetically attract people through the value that you add to the friendships? What value can you put out there that attracts the kinds of friends you're looking for? Because it sounds like right now you're spinning your wheels a bit, trying to find friends that might not be the kind of friends you actually want. And I'm wondering, what is it about you that you think is different, unique, special, that you can put out there and give to someone else? In other words, nobody really wants to hear, I need XYZ. Well, can we be friends? Nobody wants to hear that. What they want to hear is, what are your interests? Oh, well, I'm interested in that too. Oh, have you ever heard about XYZ? And now I understand this can be a really tricky thing if you're going through a really hard season, if you're going through a really hard time, if you're struggling with things. The last thing you might want to do is to talk about some things that might seem like trifles or small talk. But this is how friendships are built, and so it's kind of it's a challenging spot where you are. But that's the question: is what could you be doing more of? And yeah, it's not going to be easy to put yourself out there in that way if you're really hurting. But if you're trying to make new friends, that really is kind of like a first step. That's the ultimate shortcut to getting friends that are the kinds of friends you're looking for, because you've kind of got to make that first step yourself. And that's why I'm asking, again, it's not an accusation because I don't know you. The question is, what is it about you that's special or unique, and what could you be doing more of?
I would say what I've been told by a lot of people is I'm a very supportive person.
Mm-hmm.
From my sister to both my parents to random strangers online, my girlfriend, past friends I've had, past exes of mine, a lot of people have told me this one thing about myself, is that I will sit here for 2 hours, 3 hours, and I listen to people And I think I listen to people really well, and not to say that I'm doing something similar to this, but it's kind of like how I feel about myself. And I think that's what attracted me to Anonymous Live is you sit here and you listen to people and you try and give support. And I've been doing that for most of my life. Is I'm like an open ear. I'm there for people. You're having a shitty day or you're not feeling well. I could sit there for hours and have conversations with people and try and reassure them and make sure they're feeling okay. And that might be one of the strongest things about myself, because if it's someone talking about their past and things they've gone through, what they're going through currently, what's going through their head, I've always tried to stretch out of my like bubble, and I'm not necessarily saying I'm carrying the weight of what they go through. It's not like they're putting more on my plate. It's just like an easy release.
Mm.
You're able to get the weight off of your shoulders, but at the end of the day, I don't feel like I'm being used like therapy. And that might be one of the strongest things about me. I have an extremely strong interest in music. I play bass, I play electric guitar, I play keyboard, I want to learn to play drums. I have a very wide, like, musical view. And I've talked with people in the server that have also had experience with music and other servers, and they've all they've given me inspiration. I would give them inspiration. Being an open ear and like being able to speak with people is what I love to do. Because there have been nights where my sister has come home and she won't be feeling well, or she'll have a bad day at work, or something will be bothering her. I would sit there and talk to her, and at first, especially with my sister, since this is my example, it's kind of hard to tell if me talking, me being there is really like landing on for her, but it definitely brings me and her a lot closer.
Right.
And I feel like I could do that with a lot of people. You know, I branch out. I like this TV show. I've been playing guitar for 6 years now. I'm a very supportive person. I try my best to be there for people. And that's usually what brings people around me. It's just after that, you can only I can only listen to so much, which kind of sounds odd because you take 4 days out of each week and listen to people and
Yeah.
what they have
Well.
to say,
Yeah.
and
Let's.
that's a very amazing thing.
Yeah. I mean,
But
it's one thing to. I can tell you're really passionate about being there for people, and I think that's a gift. I think that's something that will take you far in life. At the same time, that's not how you make friends. Good friends will open up to you because they are good friends or because they trust you. But that's not a good way to make friends. I sense that I could be wrong, but I'm sensing that you're looking for friends by trying to be there for people right out of the gate, immediately at the onset of the relationship, to listen and let them open up, and you want to listen. I can tell that that's a passion of yours, and I think that's
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. It doesn't surprise me at all that you and your sister are tight in that way, because you and your sister have a relationship, and that's a reciprocal kind of thing. Because she's your sister, she feels safe opening up to you, because there's some familiarity and there's some trust, and because of that, when that conversation ends with your sister, that's not the end of the road with your sister, because she's your sister and she knows you, and you have familiarity, and you know that the next time you talk, maybe she's going to ask you how you're doing, or maybe you're going to talk about music, or any number of either of your interests. And I wonder again, like, that's I still have the same question. Is like, what is it that you could be doing more of? And that might seem like a loaded question, so I'll try to get more specific. I'm not saying like, what's a bigger thing you can do when I say, what could you be doing more of? What I mean by that is, when you're meeting someone I'll give you a mental picture. Let's say you're at the bowling alley or something, and someone's bowling in the next lane to you. Maybe you guys strike up a conversation, and the person next to you ends up pouring their heart out about something through some kind of serendipitous event. This person next to you bowling is pouring their heart out about something that they went through, and you're listening, and they're understanding that you're a good listener. After that conversation ends, there's a very low likelihood the other person is going to want your number or to get in touch, unless there's been some common, very simple baseline established for a simple relationship, for a
like interest.
Yeah. And this might be hard for you if you're on the spectrum, because people on the spectrum don't like small talk. I resonate with that a lot, by the way. I don't like small talk either. I'm horrible at it. But this is kind of the challenge you have, is that you're good at listening to people, and you're finding yourself in these situations where people are opening up to you, and then nothing comes from that. And I'm saying to you, that's not that surprising, because if someone pours their heart out to you, maybe they're hoping they never see you again, because maybe they've never told anybody else what they just told you. Maybe they're hoping they never have to see you again, depending on what they shared. Or, it could be any number of things similar to that that would cause someone to not pursue a relationship with you after a big, deep conversation. But what constitutes the beginning of a relationship is some very simple things. Like a first date. A first date might be a better example than a bowling alley example. The bowling alley example I gave. When you're on a first date with someone, you're not talking about like your deepest, darkest regrets or challenges or setbacks, or you're talking about like, so what are you into? Think of a Tinder profile or an OkCupid profile. I've actually never been on any of these dating apps, and I don't plan to get on them. But like, what do these people talk about on their dating profiles? They talk about, I like this kind of food. I do this in my free time. I like traveling to these types of places, and these are the kinds of things that we go through.
Yeah, I'd say I have interests, and I'm not trying to say that the only thing I'm putting out there is I'm a listening ear.
Mm-hmm.
That's just one of my attributes. That might be my strongest for being such an open ear, but that's not my first bullseye. That's not what I'm hitting to do. I like talking about music. I like the other day, I went on Omegle. It's a online video chatting platform, and I think I talked to over 30 people just about the TV show Stranger Things. And I got to add some of them on Discord and talk to them, and I hope our friendships go well. But talking about that one TV show was a big enough interest to strike a friendship with them. And I'm not just going to use a TV show to try and make a whole group.
Of course.
because everyone else is obviously going to have different interests.
Right.
I'm a big fan of music. I listen to a lot of older music. I play guitar. I say I'm a very caring person. I play a lot of video games. I do a lot of things. And it's not me trying to push either my support or, hey, I'm lonely, I need friends, can you give me your number? It's not like that.
Mm-hmm.
I have found my way forward, how to make friends, how to build a good relationship. And like with my girlfriend, our first ever conversation was on coffee, pizza, and playing guitar. And we started the first date, and that was it. And that was a lucky shot. I never expected us to get anywhere. But not trying to rub that out, but like that's an example of like when it clicked. Nowadays, what if a big interest is this new $80 game or this and that and this, like these very small examples. Nothing big, nothing life-changing. But since everyone has so many different interests, it's kind of hard to find people with similar interests because I'm a very closed person. I've got my few interests and I try and get out and relate to people that do that. I didn't want to learn how to play piano and keyboard until I met what used to be a really good friend of mine. They played piano and they played keyboard,
Yeah.
and I picked up an interest from it. And there's like a very small list. I love comedy, and I'm always trying to be funny and get out there, and I do make people laugh, and I don't know if that's my slapstick slash dirty mouth humor that I use.
So it's not about interests, it's about what you can contribute to the relationship. The interests serve as a baseline clue to what value you can add to the relationship. It doesn't matter, you seem like a really introspective person. You seem like the kind of person that when no connection is made after a conversation, you internalize that and you take it really hard on yourself. You're really hard on yourself with it, and you're like, what's wrong? And that's probably just I think a lot of this, again, is developmental. I think you'll come into this confidence on your own. This is a natural time to be going through these kinds of things. Please know that.
I'm not trying to be rude, but some of this time, I don't know, I've been feeling bad because I'm hearing what can I contribute, and nothing's really coming to my mind. So I'm just over here like, oh shit, I feel like I'm upsetting you.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you're not upsetting me. I'm trying to help you because I feel like this is something that I can tell this is something you're banging your head up against the wall with, and I'm trying to be really gentle. At the same time, you got to keep in mind I'm almost twice your age. So in fact, I think I am twice your age. Yeah, twice your age. So I'm looking at this from a very different perspective, and I can remember being 17 and banging my head against some similar walls. Also, you have some things that you know about yourself that are that I don't know what it's like to experience. You mentioned you have an autism diagnosis. I don't know what it's like to live knowing something like that about myself. That may be contributing towards this difficulty in connection with certain people. And so you're not upsetting me. I'm here for, you're not wasting my time or anything. I'm here for the next hour and change doing this. So, but I do hear you kind of circling around this. I hear you struggling to come to terms with what it is that is standing in the way. And I don't know what that is. All I know is what you're telling me. So you're not upsetting me. When I say, what is it you can contribute? I'm not trying to be confrontational. I'm just saying, like, a relation. If people aren't sticking around in the way you want, then what is it that you can give to people, to the relationship, that will make the relationship valuable for the other person? And it can't be. It won't always be, anyways. Being a listening ear for the person to open up about deep, dark stuff. Everybody has deep, dark stuff that they need to vent every now and then, of course. But when you're first meeting someone, you're kind of inching towards, you spend a relationship is spent inching towards that level of intimacy where the person is comfortable both sharing their deepest, darkest stuff with you and seeing you again the next day for coffee or hanging out playing video games. Most people, that's why I offer people anonymity here. Nobody calling in here knows me. I mean, they know of me, some of them, but they don't. Nobody here knows each other. The only reason people are comfortable doing this and calling back more than once, like you have, is because they have anonymity here. And so that's my point when I say, what is it you can give to the relationship? And I'm not trying to be confrontational. You're not upsetting me. I'm just trying to get right to the point, because a relationship is kind of a trade. A relationship isn't transactional, but it's kind of like a trade in the beginning. It's kind of like, oh, you're this person, I'm that person. Do we have things we can contribute to each other or not? And I realize when I say it that way, it sounds transactional, but I'm trying to boost a lot of contrast onto it just to make a point, because I feel like I can tell how much this is keeping you up at night and how lonely you feel. And I'm not telling you you're doing anything wrong. I'm just exploring with you the possibility that there's something you could be doing more of. And again, it's not to say that you should be doing bigger things, bigger gestures, and this might be the thing that's hard for you to understand, that it's to not to understand, but to get into the mindset of things like small talk and chit chat and pleasantries. And these things are hard for me too, and I've had to learn how to kind of engage with people in this way. It's not something that comes naturally to me either, so I'm not preaching to you. If anything, I'm talking to myself. But these are things people can learn, and I do believe that if the problem isn't meeting people or making connections, if the problem is maintaining the relationship, then there's got to be something that you could be doing more of for the other person. And again, it's not an accusation. I'm trying to be really careful. I'm not confronting you, but you've called in here tonight and you're asking the question, and that's my question back to you is, and maybe you chew on it. Maybe you don't come to terms with it tonight. We probably won't get to the bottom of it tonight, but maybe you chew on that for a little bit. What are some ways you can work on applying yourself, some small ways, in ways that might seem like chit chat or things that may seem boring to you or unfruitful? What are some small steps you can make initially instead of diving in head first? And you probably won't come to terms with that tonight, but it may be something that you think about next time you meet a new friend. Think about, like, okay, what are their general interests, and what are some things I can give to them? How can I be there for them in small ways that are valuable to them, that show them that I care?
How I see it is, I give, at times, if they need it, I can give support. And if what I'm expecting is, this is a friend I can talk to, this is a friend I can vent to, this is a person that I can socialize with, and I can contribute my time, and I can contribute my care. If it's in person, I can come see you, I can visit with you somewhere. We could go get lunch at a restaurant, we could go to the movies. I can contribute going forward, and the whole open ear support is there. but I'm not expecting to be my own personal support hotline. I'm expecting to be a friend. I'm expecting to be looked at as a person still. And
Right.
if I can give you my support and give you my time, my love, my care, my interest, I'm expecting the same back. I'm not expecting to be an open ear, listen to someone for 2 hours, talk to them for 45 minutes after, get off the phone and not hear from them for a week.
Mm-hmm.
I'll sit down for 2 hours and play a game with my group, sit in a call with them for the longest I've gone, 9 hours, 10 hours, just spending time with them. And I'm expecting like, hey, do you want to get on, spend some time with me? Hey, can I talk to you for a second?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm expecting back, because if I'm going out to these places with you, or if I'm doing these small things, if I wasn't in a relationship, that could build up to going out to dinner, staying with you, taking you to places like out of town, out of state, which I plan to do with some of the friends. Most of my friends live out of state. With how close we are and how much time we spent, later in the future, we all want to meet each other. But I want them to contribute their time, contribute their care, their love, their support as well, if they want me to fly down to this state to meet you. And I hope that that's a stretch. I know that is. I don't know if I'll ever meet half the friends that I have online. But if it ever came to that point, in the long run, the care, the time, the love, the support that I can give to so-and-so or these people or this group, I expect it to be on a mutual level where I can contribute time, I can contribute my interests, I can contribute my care, and I hope that they would do the same. And a lot of them don't do that. They don't answer me for a few days. They don't get on with me. The only reason right now I haven't been on with my friends is because my PC is busted, but that's out of the picture. That's nothing I caused to not be able to spend a lot of time with them. But outside of that, it comes down to, if you want this to be a mutual friendship, or if you want to be best friends, then you need to contribute the same that I am.
Right. Again, my friend, I'm going to encourage you to think of this in terms of what are the small things. I keep hearing you say, and you're not upsetting me. I'm trying to be very careful here. I keep hearing you saying big gestures that you're making. You're in voice chats for 9 hours, and you're offering to go visit people. These are big things. And I'm not saying,
yes, in the future, like farther down, not soon.
Yeah.
But like if we stayed close, and if it came down to that, during these times now, if we could build up stronger and stronger with what we care about, what we do, what we could do for each other as friends or a group, I'm expecting the same back.
Here's my only point. My only point is there's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with anyone. What a relationship is two people that can understand each other and have a chemistry. There's nothing wrong with you. So all that means, if there's nothing wrong with you, all that can mean is that you're learning how to apply yourself in a relationship. This is a natural age to be doing that. Don't be hard on yourself. You might be hypervigilant or something with this. You might have some hypervigilant tendencies. I don't know, but that could be possible. If you're if you have neurodivergent tendencies and you're I hear you internalizing a lot of this and being very introspective and hard on yourself. That's why I'm saying this. I have 2 points for you, and then we're going to wind the call down. And I hope you call back again anytime. We'll talk about this as often as you want. But I do want to open up the lines to other callers. I have 2 points.
I don't want to take up too much time.
Yeah, I have 2 points for you to chew on. The first point is there's nothing wrong with you. So just please take peace in that. Chew on that. There's nothing wrong with you. So what does that mean? All that can mean is that there's something that you've got to learn here. There's some new way to approach relationships. And I don't have the full picture. I'm not claiming I do. I don't know you. All I know is what you've shared. But if there's nothing wrong with you, then there is something you're learning here about how to apply yourself in relationships, and that's going to take time and patience. And you might consider, Offcore said this earlier, there's been a couple of things from the chat I've wanted to mention, but I haven't found a good time to do it. Offcore mentioned recently from the chat, bonding comes in the form of experiencing things. Going to a music festival with people in a band, as an example. On top of that, nights out, barbecues. You may want to plan and invite people. I sense that you're already doing some of this stuff, but I thought that was a good point. Like, inviting people.
Branch out.
Yeah.
More.
And there may be little things like this that you just think about, because there's nothing wrong with you. And I want to. That's my number one point, is that there's nothing wrong with you. And I want you to really take that in tonight, because I sense that you're being really hard on yourself, and I don't want you to think there's anything wrong with you, because there's not. You just might. It might be trickier for you to meet people that jive with you than you want it to be. You might also consider some autism, not support groups necessarily, although maybe that's helpful. Maybe an autism support group might be helpful. But you might consider some autistic communities, like servers that celebrate neurodiversity and things like this, where people who have similar brains as you and similar thinking styles as you will be present. That you can, there may be some. It may be hard for some of your friends to keep up with you if you're autistic. Maybe your brain goes really fast, and people get overloaded and overwhelmed, and that's very possible. So there's nothing wrong with you. You are you, and everyone is learning to do things every day. And so if there's nothing wrong with you, then you're simply learning. And don't be too hard on yourself with that. You're 17. Take your time. This is the time of life where people are figuring this stuff out. I'd say give yourself grace, and just ask yourself, when you're talking to these people that you're meeting, and try to put yourself in situations before that. Try to put yourself in situations where you might meet people that are more similar to you. That's why I'm mentioning maybe some autism communities, whatever that is, a support group or a server, whatever it is. But once you're in those conversations, then ask yourself, what are the small things I can do? What are the small steps? Nothing big, nothing grandiose, not right out of the gate. You work towards those over the course of months and years. What are some things I can do in the initial days of the relationship to just small gestures, small things that make the other person feel good. Nothing big, nothing heavy, nothing heady at all. Just little, nice, funny, small things where you can add value. Look for those opportunities, and just chew on that for a little while. And I can't give you the prescriptive answer you're looking for because I don't know yet, but I sense that that general thought is something that'll take you in a good direction and give you some small steps to work towards. But don't beat yourself up, because this stuff takes time, and it's a natural thing to be going through at this time of life. And there's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things in the chat too. I want you to revisit after this.
I will. That means a lot more than you think, because I have been really stressed out about stuff like this, and since the last time we talked, I know we talked a lot about Temple Grandin, and I went and listened to the episode Spellbound, right? That's
the
name of it?
Yeah. She came on Spellbound.
And I loved that.
She thought I was autistic. She called me autistic. I was like, thanks. It's like, she's a hero of mine. I was like, thank you, and question mark. I haven't been tested, so I don't know what to make of that. I love her to death and back. She's amazing.
Good. She seems amazing. And I remember you told me to look into her book, Thinking in Pictures, and I definitely want to try and order that as soon as possible because I am really interested in reading it. And I feel like I'm walking away with this, like feeling like I may have upset you a little bit, but that's just
No,
like
you
me
didn't
in my
upset me at
own
all, my
head.
friend. You didn't upset me at all. Take that idea out of your head. I can tell you're really introspective. Delete that idea from your head. You didn't upset me. I get right to the point. And you got to keep in mind I'm in a different place in life, so I might come at things a little more directly than you want me to. I apologize if I upset you. You certainly didn't upset me. I hope I didn't make any points too poignantly. I'm just trying to get right to the point because we have limited time to do these streams, and we try to, listen to as many people as we can.
Well, thank you for letting me ramble on for so long, and I'll definitely call in again soon.
All right. Wishing you the best. Take care of yourself and go easy on yourself. Take it easy.
I will. Thank you.
Good night. Okay. I'd also suggest to the caller, oh, by the way, phone lines are opening now. I'd also suggest to that last caller to check out the Temple Grandin movie on HBO. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hey, my name is Jay.
Toast, my friend Jay. This is anonymous. I toasted you because you gave us your name. I'm really sorry. That is toast count 1. Where's my soundboard? There it is. Please call back again. Omit your name and your location. Don't give us anything like that. We will take your age, but that's it. And we'll have a conversation as long as you can keep it anonymous. Taking the next caller. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi.
Hi.
How are you doing tonight?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
I'm not terrible, but I did want to get something off my chest and maybe get some advice if you're willing to listen for a minute.
Of course. What's on your mind?
Well, I live in the Bible Belt, so religion is a very big part of my life. Grown up with it for the past, let's say, X amount of years, just to keep anonymity, I guess. One of my friends is a preacher's kid, which is a huge responsibility. I myself in my church am an elder's kid, which is even more of a responsibility. Life takes people a lot of different places. It sadly took my friend down a road that led to adultery. And not only societally, I believe that religiously, that is a big no-no. He left for 5 years, and he just recently came back and started to dedicate his life to religion again, which I am all for. In a lot of ways, throughout those 5 years, many friends have come and go from the church, but in a lot of ways, so much pressure was put on him and myself for me specifically, to be his friend and to try and bring him back. And for him just to come back.
Can I pause you real quick in the middle of your story?
Oh yeah.
Because I want to
sure.
I want to figure out what the theme of your call is, so I can kind of track with you. Because there's a lot of variables here, and I want to be able to track with you. What would you say the theme of your call is in a word, if you can sum it up, just so I can track with you? If you can give us all a word here, so we can follow you.
Pressure.
Pressure?
Yeah, pressure.
Is it like religious pressure or social pressure or parental pressure?
All of the above.
Okay. All right, we'll call it social pressure.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to put it. I'm sorry, I like to give a lot of detail, but I'll try and be brief from here on out.
Okay, and you're experiencing some social pressure, is that it?
A lot.
Okay,
a lot.
Got it. Now we're tracking.
Yeah, a lot of pressure to keep to the religion, not only from people related in the whole experience, but just from myself and specifically my family now that he's come back. And I'm afraid that that's not me. It feels like it's good for certain people to have, but I don't feel like it's for me. And I'm very scared to try and express that to certain people, because some people are very okay with, hey, live your own life. My parents, not so much. They're very demanding. And now that he's made an example that he's able to come back and get back into everything, the thing that I've heard for the past 5 years is, hey, you've been the good one, keep with it.
Oh yeah.
Even though I know I haven't, that's really starting to eat at me a lot.
So am I understanding correctly that you're not connecting with whatever brand of religion you've been raised with, and you're feeling the pressure of your parents to stay in the fold? Is it something like that?
Correct, yes.
I see. And it sounds like your brother left, and it was kind of a prodigal son kind of story where he left and then came back, and your parents welcomed him with open arms, and now it's like even more so pressurized.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
I see. So, and your parents are pastors?
My dad is.
Dad's
My
pastor.
friend is the pastor. My dad's an elder, which is above a pastor, and then my friend is the elder's kid. I'm sorry, the pastor's kid.
I see.
It's been iffy. I've been at school. I've lived my life at school, and now I'm currently living my life home over the summer, and it in a lot of ways feels like two different people. So it's starting to be a lot to juggle, and I'm worried if I bring it up, I won't get disowned, but I will definitely not have a home anymore.
So would you say you've already deconstructed a lot, or where are you in the journey?
From what I've gathered, I don't want to say I've given up entirely, because I do. At this point in my life, I feel it's very ingrained in me to a point where I feel like I need it,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know a life outside of it. And with all the other examples, it's just like I don't know what the hell to do.
And it sounds like you're taking some things apart, at least. It sounds like you're asking some questions that are taking some of it apart, at least to look at what's inside. Maybe you end up putting it back together. Who knows? But it sounds like you're, from what I'm hearing, would it be fair to say that you have been deconstructing, and if so, for how long?
Is it okay to give ages on here?
Yeah, how old are you?
23. Just turned 23.
Okay.
And I've been with it 23 years. I probably started really looking hard at it at about 15, and just been slowly looking at it. And in a way, I guess deconstructing is the best word for that amount of time.
I see. So what would make this a good call? What is it you're looking for?
I'm not entirely sure. I brought this up to a few other people, but they've only offered well, you're in it, why not just stick with it, or just go all out, do what you want to do. And I don't exactly know. I wanted to hear a very outside opinion on it all, and just kind of take it in.
Well, my outside opinion on those two pieces of advice you just mentioned, that you're in it, so you should stay in it, or if you're going to leave, just go gung-ho crazy, or however you put it. You didn't say gung-ho crazy. Those are my words, of course. But I think that is some pretty polarized advice. I think that's, plenty of people are in abusive relationships that they clearly should not stay in. And so just because you're in something doesn't mean you should stay in it. And at the same time, there's not much to say about, doing a complete 180 and going crazy and, throwing baby out with the bathwater, if you will.
Right.
It sounds like there's a lot of things that you were raised with that were really valuable to you and that really guide you in life. And a lot of these things can continue to be valuable in your life, even if you decide the religion you were raised in isn't for you. It's not to say you have to go crazy and go completely the other direction in a 180. In fact, most people that do that end up in really bad places. Most people end up.
I've been the first. I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say I've witnessed that. My friend who left and has come back, he was out of state for the 5 years, and debt, child problems, marital problems that are still getting the kinks worked out. Like that terrifies me to my core, being a broke college kid right now. I feel like I have a slight sense of direction, but if I get pulled too far one way, I'm going to lose everything. I'm going to lose everything else I'm going to lose the support system that I have.
Right. Yeah. I'll say it again that, I think if you are feeling pulled in a direction, if you're feeling moved along a specific current, then, if the brand of religion you were raised in is not, is holding you back or is difficult for you or is not making sense to you. Of course, we haven't gotten into specifics of what that religion is, and we don't have to talk about it. It doesn't matter, because it doesn't matter what religion you are. Tons of people end up getting to a place in life where even within the specific religions that exist, there are subsects of those religions and denominations, and it gets really granular. So no matter what it is you're experiencing, if you're feeling like you're in a dysfunctional situation or a situation that's not aiding you like it claims it should be doing, it's not to say that you should stay in it. It's also not to say that you should run completely the other direction. And I realize I'm just kind of restating something, but I'm trying to make really clear is that, there's a lot of value in religion, in all religions. So, I mean, all the religions share, at least 5 things in common that hold all of our societies together. Even outside of religion, like China's not even religious. India's, they have a religion, but it's not what we would call religion here in the West. But the point is that no matter what you grow up in, it can be really dogmatic. It can become there are healthy, good implementations of these ideas and these faiths, and then there's dogmatic implementations of them, and a lot of that can come down to people, the people that are preaching it, or the people that are practicing it, the people that you're dependent on, like your parents. A lot of people grow up in really dogmatic homes that are religious. I can certainly relate with that. And there's many different reasons why that can be. Some people have personality disorders. Some people were abused as kids, and so they never did the work to undo that in their own life, so they just do it to their own kids. And it's just, there's so many different reasons. I'm naming some extreme ones for the point. There's this great philosophy that I found really helpful to me. Of course, like none of this stuff, the tricky thing with philosophy and religion is that, especially if you're struggling with one of them, it's really hard to take an entire idea prescriptively, 100%. Like, for example, that's kind of what I'm saying when I say the last thing you want to do is just run the other way in a 180. And at the same time, if you sense that there's like dysfunction, it's not to say you should stay in it. That's why I keep repeating that. Like, there's this idea, it's a Chinese idea called the Wu Wei. You ever heard of that?
I'm sorry, I've never heard of that.
Wuwei. You can read up on it. It's, again, like, I'm not telling you to take this idea 100% because I actually don't agree with it 100%. But it's a beautiful idea, especially if you're growing up in some dogma. It's an idea that talks about kind of letting what be is. It's kind of Wu Wei is kind of another way of saying, let it be, like that Beatles song, Let It Be. It's kind of, if you read way into the Wu Wei philosophy, it talks about inaction, and just kind of like sitting there. That's the part that I kind of have trouble with, because I do believe like life is about action and applying yourself. So, take from it what you will. But this idea of the Wu Wei is a really beautiful concept if you're struggling with anything in life, whether it's religion or, an unhealthy relationship. And again, that's why I kind of have a problem with the inaction of it. But the letting things be. In other words, like, you can't control other people. You can't control the chaos of the world. And we can be guided by things like a breeze, or a current in a wave, in an ocean. And things in life will kind of nudge us around, and that's okay. We still have to apply ourselves, of course. But that idea to me has been really valuable at different times in my life. I'm not sure if that helps you at all, hearing about that.
It does. I greatly appreciate it. I've not really looked into a whole lot of anything else, because I won't say the faith I practice is dogmatic per se, but it is not the most open to anything outside of the Bible. So it's been interesting. And on top of all of that, and not to just compound, but I was homeschooled from 6th grade through graduation of high school. So my social interactions are fine, but I'm not the greatest at that. But that and in turn, that also kind of kept a lot secluded. College was kind of the first chance where I was able to go and do, and just go and do and be myself. And it's been fun, but now that I'm home, I'm censoring myself. I am not going. I'm not doing things with friends because got to keep up appearances with parents and whatnot. It's slowly becoming more and more of a struggle, and I was just looking for anything. So anything I'm taking to heart right now. So I really do greatly appreciate it.
Yeah. Luke Moss from the chat says to you, I personally decided that I needed to live in accordance with my values, wherever that led. Keeping an open mind and curiosity about life has helped me process all the intense cognitive dissonance. It sounds like the caller is under a lot of social pressure, and that can be incredibly stressful. There's the philosophical aspect of this, but also the real-world effect it has on the people close to us. And, I want to be really clear that I know that there's a lot of different people listening to these episodes, not even live here, but even in the replays, that think all kinds of things. And people are going to call in with all kinds of different experiences, and we want to welcome anyone to call in, no matter what it is they're going through. We're not here to disparage religion. We're not here to convert anyone, of course. I'm here to listen, and a lot of people are calling in recently with religious stuff that they're unpacking and trying to make sense of. And, you're in your early 20s, really natural time to be kind of questioning and picking apart what you were raised with, and making sure that it works for you as an adult. And it's not to disparage religion. What you're doing is not rebelling. What you're doing is, we all get raised with some thing that our parents think is good for us. And a lot of times these ideas come from parents that are older, a lot older than us, because they're our parents, and it's not a pure idea, because they're coming at it from a lot of parents aren't able to objectively distill the thing to their kid. A lot of times it gets polluted with personal experiences and personal passions and personal motives, and a lot of parents have a hard time separating what they want to see their kids grow up to do from the actual pureness of the philosophy or the faith or whatever you want to, or the path. We'll call it the path that they're trying to give their kids. And ultimately that comes down to a control thing. A lot of parents want to control their kids. And, if you're growing, so that's what we're talking about. Ultimately, that's what we're talking about here. We're not talking about religion or faith. We're talking about control. We're talking about you're in a situation where your parents want to see you stay on this very specific path. And we've had callers call in, sharing a similar thought that's totally separate from religion. And so what we're talking about here is not religion or faith. We're talking about control. There's a lot of controlling parents. That's what I'm trying to say. There's a lot of parents that are fearful, and they think that they can keep their kids safe by controlling them. And you're at a time in life where you're coming into your own. You're an adult now, and your brain is finishing its development, and now your life is in your own hands. It sounds like you may still be reliant on your parents a little bit, but you're coming into the season of life where you got to take your life into your own hands, and you got to make some decisions for yourself, and don't be afraid to do that, and don't be afraid to. It doesn't have to be rebellion. In fact, I'd say it'd be best if it's not rebellion. It'd be best if you can maintain some respect and love with your parents through this journey, this transition, whatever you want to call it. It'd be best if that relationship can be protected and maintained while you set up this new life that you're building for yourself. And that's going to take time and determination and a lot of introspection and soul searching.
Do you mind if I ask you a quick question?
Sure.
Do you think the reliance on my parents at the time is kind of a big factor in what I'm feeling right now?
It's possible. Did you mention you're still living at home? Am I remembering that correctly?
I'm at home for the summer from
for the
college.
summer.
I just got an apartment, so
Okay.
I'll be moving up there, and I'll actively be up in my college town more come the fall semester.
Yeah, for sure. The more dependent, reliant you are on your parents, the more this is going to be difficult, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's kind of what I was afraid of. I have a very strong relationship, more so with my dad than my mom right now. I feel like he and I see eye to eye on a lot more than my mom does, and it's tricky trying to even in and of just the parental dynamic. It kind of feels like I'm juggling 3 different beliefs: father's, mother's, my own, and I'm usually just very agreeable. It does not matter what's said. It's in one ear, out the other, because I am, like you said, I am an adult. I'm trying to do my own thing.
Right.
But it is very much nowadays getting to the point where it's like, okay, well, I could say something there, but if I do, well, I don't even want to deal with not necessarily the repercussions, but like they're not going to ground me or anything. But it's like I don't want to deal with the talk that I'm going to have because, oh no, you went to college, your mind's polluted and all that other kind of pardon my I'll just say crap, all that other kind of crap.
Right.
So
yeah.
It's just like it's a balancing act that has been very interesting recently, and I just yeah.
Well, you're asking a lot of questions about what you were raised in. You were raised in a lot of religion. Sounds like you were raised in at least a fairly controlling home, at least a home that is, it sounds like there's a lot of fear in the home. Would that be fair to say?
I prefer to call it respect. I think you're on the right track, though.
I was trying to think of what's gentler than control, and a lot of time I know from experience that a lot of controlling parents ultimately are dealing with some fear, and so that's why I asked that question. I want to recommend a book to you that is a book I love. I've read this book. I actually don't know how many times I've read this book because it's a favorite of mine, and I actually just produced an audiobook for it. It's the first time I've talked about it here on the show here. It's a book called Who Wrote the Bible. It's by a guy named Richard Elliott Friedman. He's like the leading Bible scientist for the Torah. So it's only the Torah that this book gets into. It's only the first 5 books: Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. It doesn't get into New Testament at all. But he wrote this book. It's a 40-year-old. It's almost 40 years old, and we just produced an audiobook for it about a month and a half, 2 months ago. It's out now. You can read the book or listen to the audiobook. I actually read the audiobook too. But it's a great book. What's so great about it is it walks you through how the Torah was written in a way that anyone who is a lover of the Bible, no matter if they're religious or not, no matter what religion they're from, no matter if they're Jewish, Islam, Christian, Mormon, Gnostic, it doesn't matter. It's a book that he wrote. This book, Richard wrote this book to kind of give all these people that read the Torah or read the Bible. Any Abrahamic book was written from the basis of the Torah. So he wrote this book 40 years ago to kind of give everyone a basis of understanding for how the book came together, so that people could talk about this stuff a lot more easily. And I sense that you're asking these kinds of questions that this book would be relevant for. So I'm going to put this Goodreads link for you in the chat. This is the link that'll show you what the book is about. You can kind of read about it before you decide if you want to buy it. Who Wrote the Bible? And there's the audiobook's on Audible if you want to listen to the audiobook instead. It's pretty dense. It's a pretty difficult book to read. I like to joke, I've read this book more than anybody because I don't know how many takes I had to do during the audiobook recording. It was madness for about 3 months. But this is one of my all-time favorites. It's a beautiful book, especially if you're coming out of some religious dogma and you don't want to throw baby out with the bathwater or take a major 180 like we've been talking about. If you want to understand what the Torah came from and who wrote it, it actually tells you who. It walks you through the history of how it came together. It's amazing science here, amazing history. So highly recommend that. It's in the chat for you.
Thank you. Awesome. Thank you a lot. I don't want to keep up any more time, but I really do appreciate the conversation. It has eased my nerves already.
Good.
And I will definitely be looking into that book soon.
I'm glad to hear it. Take care of yourself. Call back again anytime.
It was an honor. Thank you.
Take care. Okay, guys. We've got about 30 minutes left here tonight. Opening up these phone lines again. I'm going to take this hoodie off. Hi, thanks for calling.
Hi, Julian. How are you?
I'm all right. How are you doing tonight?
I'm good. Man, I want to summarize this off the bat so that I can be clear and concise. I believe you and I are around the same age.
Okay.
If that sets us up, and I'm from the Midwest.
Don't get specific with locations, please.
I will be specific. About 4.5 years ago, my partner and I moved a state away, I'll say, and within driving distance from friends and family. And I didn't know how it would go, especially going through the pandemic like we did without close family nearby. And since we've moved here, life has actually gotten pretty great. And I know that is not something a lot of people can say. The problem is that we have aging parents who, man, I don't even know how to describe this. They need help, but they won't ask for help. But I don't want to be pushy with them. And I think the distance and we're not very communicative kind of comes into play. So I have siblings from one of my parents' first marriages who actually live 10 minutes away from them. And are also incredibly hands off. And I guess my search for advice is on really what to do with aging parents when you're far away and you can't always be close, and you're watching their health decline and they're almost not putting in the effort. My partner and I have discussed if we should move back, but it almost feels like we're giving up something that's too good to be true that we, hoped would happen in our move and in a search for, self-betterment. So I don't really know how much more to describe without going too much into detail, but how do you, it feels like nobody wins in this situation.
Right. Would you say your parents are difficult? Sounds like you're in a difficult situation, at least.
Yeah, my dad's difficult. We had a pretty difficult relationship growing up, and my mom was the peacemaker. She felt like she was between trying to keep everybody level-headed. And I think she's the one that's going through the most health issues. It's not one particular diagnosis. It's like been in and out of the hospital for multiple infections that got serious, and she has serious bodily trauma that she didn't deal with, and I think has completely internalized it. So I think when I say she doesn't put in a lot of effort, it's because she hasn't been supported. And so I think that's another reason that I feel bad, is because I don't know how to support her from a distance when she can be closed off. Like, I want to love her well, but I don't think our relationship has been built up very well to this point. So there's some guilt there as well, that like if we hadn't moved away, would we be closer relationship wise, where the distance, the proximity distance, the gap wouldn't feel so wide.
Right. So your siblings, you mentioned, live close to them, and even they're kind of wrestling with some of this. So that leads me to believe, or it leads me to ask, how would things be different if you moved closer?
Man, that's a good question. Even when we did move close, or when we did live close by, I think some of it is that I've grown so much since I've lived away from them that I'm more self-confident. My partner is more confident in himself, and I feel like we have more to offer in the sense of taking care of my parents. But like I did say, my dad is pretty difficult person, and sometimes when we go home to visit, I'm like, I can't stay in their house. They drive me crazy, and maybe everybody feels that way when they visit family. But I don't know. My older brothers are also pretty hands off, and we don't really have much of a relationship. I have more of a relationship with their kids, with my nieces and nephews, than I do with my actual brothers.
Sounds like there's a decent amount of distance in the whole family.
Yeah, and I feel like it's kind of crazy to think. I don't want to blame anybody. I don't want to put any blame on people, because I feel like that's not really fair. A lot of it, I believe, started with my parents each having been divorced from people struggling with alcoholism, and then I don't want to say codependence, but when they found each other, they had been through really similar trauma, and making one of my parents, a step parent to my older brothers, just how much hurt was there, and we, like, most of my family ascribes to the Christian religion, but in different ways. And I wouldn't call it a crutch. I don't think it gets in the way in any way, but for being Christians, it just doesn't feel like warm and inviting. You know what I mean? Like, and
Right.
it's not cold. It's not like when we get together that anybody has bristles or cold shoulders. There's no passive aggressiveness, but it's not lovely either.
Right.
So
Claire,
how much, I think my question is, how much do I owe my parents as they age, especially with us moving away?
I guess my question would be, how much do they expect? It doesn't sound like they want anything.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
sure.
I think it's hard for me to watch them age, and maybe it's me having a savior complex, that like if I could be closer, that I can be of more help.
Yeah, I mean, it would be one thing if they were saying, "Where are you? We need your help. Why don't you move back?" That would be one thing. But you mentioned that they don't ask for help, and when you offer, they don't tend to take it. And I can only imagine how difficult that must be, just watching them deteriorate like that. Maybe they're not happy. Maybe that's...
Yeah, we're very different, like personality wise. They're very much introverted. Growing up, we didn't like go out and go to a lot of events, but I'm the extrovert in the family, and I always wanted to get out and be away and be with my friends. And I don't know, maybe there's guilt in that's creeping up a little bit. And now as they get older, I'm like, I should spend more time with them, but it's a little bit harder when you're making a certain number of hours drive too. So
Yeah, to that I would say, so I can relate with that a little bit. To that I would say, maybe there's something to say about, I mean, if they don't want help, if they're not asking for it and they don't take it when you offer, there's only so much you can do for them. But maybe there are things you want to know that only they can tell you. Maybe there's information you want about the family or their lives, or things that would help you in your own life. Maybe there's questions you could ask them. Maybe your relationship could become about phone calls, or, you could say, look, like, you guys are getting older. I have questions, things that would help me in my own life. I want to understand your story better. I want to understand you guys better. I love you guys, and I don't want to see you die without, I don't want to see you die in a shroud of mystery. I want to know what your life meant to you. And I wonder if your relationship, I'm not trying to put words in your mouth. I'm trying to describe like what the relationship might be able to become if they're not accepting help and you're really far away. Maybe the best thing you can do is connect over, just stories and memories and insight that they can provide you as your parents. Do you feel like you have that already? Do you feel like you understand their story, or are there things that you wish you knew about their lives and things that would help you?
Yeah, I mean, it's so interesting you'd say that. Without deep diving it, there are some things that I think in their divorces and how difficult that was. There was a cloud of mystery around that for a long time, and because I was a nosy little child, I went into my dad's personal things and like read paperwork and things that he had from his divorce and that my mom had from her divorce. And I eventually one time came to them and I just said, can you guys tell me or what would you be willing to share with me? Because I was so young when a lot of the residual events from those things happened, especially with my brothers and their other parents who, and that's another thing, like I think there's some hurt from them that's left over as well because their other parent passed away. And the shared parent that we have unfortunately had to decide between going to their mom's funeral or my high school graduation. And so, my dad chose to go to my graduation instead of what they felt like was supporting them in a loss of a parent. And so it's like these really like niche-y, deep things that happened, but nobody talks about. So I'm like, am I going to be the one who lives far away but is willing to bring up a lot of hurt and a lot of trauma that might seem unnecessary, but like you said, I would love to know more if they're willing to share it. So it's it's one of those situations where I know I need to be delicate, and I've grown so much in self-awareness, and the difficulties that my dad and I did have, I've gotten over them, and we've worked them out. But I think there's just still some underlying guilt there for me too, and especially because my mom just won't say when she's hurting. You'll find out like years later. So yeah.
Right.
I think it's one of those things where I know I need to very gently approach them, and if it's one step at a time over months and months, I'm okay with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Misha S. from the chat also had a good thought. They say to you, from what I have seen, growing old is really hard. I don't think you owe your parents anything, but inviting them to be with you or suggesting a visit with them with specific agreed upon goals, tidy the garage, for example. I think that's a good point. Like, there may be things they can't physically do for themselves that might mean a lot to them if you were to offer to come down and help for a weekend or something, especially if they're going to be passing soon. Like, I've got a grandmother who's getting very old, and I've been trying to, last week I went with my uncle to help clean up their garage area because they're not going to be here soon, So things like that, I think those kinds of things mean a lot to people in that situation where if they know they're not going to be around. I think that's a great idea from Misha S. So, if they don't take your physical support with their health, maybe they might accept some help with practical things, or maybe it's just as simple as some phone calls. If they won't even take that, maybe it would mean a lot for them to just get on the phone and share some things with you that would be helpful for you in your life. And that might be, those kinds of things might be what the relationship becomes in these later days.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really good insight. And I don't want to like plug any brands or anything, but there is a brand out there that I've seen advertisements for that says, have your loved ones share their story and we'll put it in the book. That kind of thing. And
Right.
I thought about getting those types of things for, Father's Day and Mother's Day. And then I was like, does it come across as intrusive? Because when I called myself nosy, that wasn't just a nickname I gave myself. Somebody else called me that. So I just wanted to, I do have that curiosity, and I think maybe some of it is a little bit selfish, where it's like it's also part of my story too. So.
Well, I think every parent can understand that the kids are gonna want some perspective and insight, and that's like what parents are for, is to offer perspective and insight. And so, but I do know those books you're talking about where parents can, the book prompts them with questions and they can fill in answers specific to them. I think those are beautiful books. I think the relationship has to be healthy. I don't know how healthy or unhealthy the relationship is at this point, but if you feel comfortable buying that kind of book and offering it to them, you could even, those books are fairly cheap. You could even get them like 2 gifts on their birthday or Father's Day or Mother's Day or whatever it is, and have the little book be like a side present if you're worried about offending them. Be like, hey, I got you this little thing too. I thought it was cool. I'd really like it if you filled it out, but you don't have to. You could do it that kind of way.
Right.
But I do like those books. Those are cool.
Yeah. Well, I think I solved some of my own problems, and just I think venting it out and sharing it makes a big difference. So I appreciate you like opening up this space for people, because we all need a little bit of a listening ear. So
yeah, thinking out loud is helpful. I'm glad that you got something from it, and feel free to call again anytime. Wishing you the best.
Sounds good. Thanks, Julian.
Take care. All right, guys, we got 14 minutes left in this stream. I think we can take another call. It'll probably end up being a quick one, so just please know if you call in. We will be winding down in about 14 minutes. So if we get to that time, we will wind down the call. We'll take it. We'll see what we get into here. Hi, thanks for calling.
Oh man, I'm actually surprised you answered. I have prepared something here.
Great.
Basically, what I've been calling is I have a dilemma whether to follow my dreams or go towards the path of stability. And I can go into that a little bit more.
Okay. I'm not sure if you heard the announcement I made just before taking your call, but just so you know, we are winding down the stream in about 13 minutes from now, 14 minutes from now, something like that. So let's hear what you got, and if we don't get to the end of it tonight, then we can. I'll invite you to call again next time.
Yeah, no problem. I'll get right to it. I have been a part of music my entire life. When I was young, I did piano. In my high school years, I did jazz band and marching band. And recently, I've started to release my own music on the internet and all sorts of different places. But now those first two I mentioned, piano and marching band, those were parents facilitated. So I don't want to use the word forced, but that was kind of, I was placed in there. It wasn't done by choice, I guess I could say. The music that I do now is obviously voluntary, but I was more encouraged to do the music that I did by my parents back then. Now it's more of, hey, you probably won't be successful, so you should probably just go get a job in engineering or whatever. And I guess my question for you is, should I follow my dreams, or is it a smarter idea to go to college and get a degree in something long-term and more likely to be sustainable?
Well, of course, I don't know you, and I can't give you career advice, but I can kick around some general thoughts here that might help you decide for yourself what the right path is. You know, we get some calls like this from time to time. There's no one-size-fits-all option, of course, because, there's a great quote. I keep telling myself I'm going to find out who said this. I believe it was Meryl Streep who said this, but she said something like, talking about having a creative career or, working in entertainment specifically. She said, no one should do this unless they absolutely have to. And I think what she means by that is that, Meryl Streep couldn't have done anything else, not because Meryl Streep isn't smart or intelligent. Meryl Streep had to do it because it was literally like just burning with it. Like it was literally like she probably would have failed at anything else because this thing was burning within her so hard. And then on the flip side, if you're, well, I guess that basically sums it up. Like you shouldn't pursue a normal job if you've got that burning passion within you. Like you're probably not going to be successful in a typical traditional 9-to-5 scenario if you've got that burning drive inside of you, where you just you can't not do it. And then on the flip side of the coin, if you don't have that burning drive, a traditional job would probably be the best thing for you. If you can do that, it probably is the safest thing. But it seems like music is a big part of your life. It seems like it's something you've been working on for years, honing that craft. Of course, you could. I don't know your music, so it's no judgment on your music. But you could, in theory. Lots of people work normal jobs, 9-to-5 jobs. I don't like calling them normal jobs. There's no normal job. Lots of people work 9-to-5 jobs and then do music on the side, or do comedy on the side, or do any number of things on the side. So but it's very difficult to of course, if you're pursuing working in entertainment, it's not like you're going to go get a 9-to-5 job on the side. So it's kind of a thing you got to decide for yourself, of course. But I do wonder what you're thinking when I'm talking about this, because I just talked for a bit.
Yeah, and that's what exactly you just said has been kind of my advice from my parents. I have a pretty close relationship with them, so it's not like I'm trying to get away from their advice. But my dad is an engineer, so he works in that field, and his whole spiel was like, do music when you're a kid and focus on your life when you get older. And of course, I need to have stability in my life. But like you said, that burning passion has always been in me. Even when I was in piano, it was just playing those notes always hit my heart, and it does now. But at the same time, like the flip side, like you said many times. My parents have always tried to, how do I say this? My dad was never. He tried to do music when he was around my age. I'm 20, and his success was, I think, one time he played one show after working for 5 years, and after that his band broke up. And so I think his perspective is, well, you can do music as long as you want. And I think from his point of view, it might just come down to luck. Whereas in my opinion, it's all about hard working and how many hours you put into it.
Right.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. First of all, I'll highlight something from the chat, and then I'll ask you a question. Claire from the chat says, you have to be willing to sacrifice so much in terms of quality of life in order to pursue an artistic passion. If you want to commit fully to it, to the point of touring potentially, you need to imagine the worst job with the most flexible hours, the smallest apartment, etc. So, you know, a lot of course, like, it sounds like you already know that. It sounds like your parents are pretty cool and progressive and supportive. So it sounds like you probably heard some of this advice already, but I'm highlighting that because it's relevant. My question to you is, what problem would your music stand to solve? Because, of course, anything that costs money is supposed to solve a problem. You know, we buy food because we're hungry. That's a problem. We buy music because we want to feel happy, or we want to feel the sadness we feel. When we buy the kinds of songs we feel like feeling. That solves a problem. We watch movies that evoke something in us that we want to feel. That's a problem. We haven't felt that thing. We buy the movie to feel it. You know, and so what is the problem your music stands to solve? And have you identified that yet?
Are you asking, so like metal is centered around emotional, rap is centered around feeling good. Are you asking me what audience I'm trying to reach at?
I guess I'm asking, generally I'm asking that, but more specifically, I'm saying, and you don't have to answer it here. I'm leaving you with a question here. We don't have to ruminate on this, but this is a question for you to think on as you're on this journey, not to be answered here tonight necessarily, unless you already have the answer. But like,
I might already have the answer, but
okay. Well, when you write lyrics, you know, what problems do those lyrics solve, or what question do they chase? That's the that, you know, I like to talk about Banksy when people come on here asking questions like this, because Banksy's an artist. He's an illegal artist. He makes illegal art, and people don't take it down because it's so evocative and thought-provoking, and it solves a problem. It gets people thinking about a problem, or it asks a question. It poses a question, and it's illegal, but nobody takes it down because it's so valuable. And so, you know, that's the question I like to ask to callers who call in with this question is, what is it that your thing stands to do? And it doesn't necessarily need to be answered here. It's more for you to think about for the rest of your life as you're making stuff. Every time you sit down to write something, that's the question that should be asked. So again, you can answer it here if you want, but it's more of like, that's kind of the headspace that I think artists get into. Successful artists get into that headspace when they before they start writing anything, because they've got an intention for the thing they're making.
Sure. I guess I'll try to answer as quickly as possible. I have always been emotional, so the music that I make is in tune with the emotions that I feel at that time. So I make some sad music, I make some happy music, and I make some angry music. And my main goal is to hopefully make something that somebody is able to connect to. I don't care if it's one person or 10,000, but if I can make something that at least touches one person's heart, that'll make me happy.
Okay. Well, that's good then. That means that even if it's one person, you know, it sounds like you'll be satisfied wherever you come out with this, which is a very flexible position to be in, because even if you need to support yourself with some side work, I have no doubt that you'll be able to reach certain people with your music. At the very least, it sounds like you'll have no problem. If you feel it that strongly, then I'm sure there's other people out there that will resonate with it. So whether it's 1 or 1 million people or 10 million people or 100 million people, it sounds like it'll be enough for you. And so I just encourage you, that's a really flexible place to be in. And maybe just take this, go easy on yourself, and this is a journey, so you don't have to figure it out tomorrow. But I just say enjoy it all and work hard and strive to hone your craft every time you sit down to make something new.
Yeah, man, thank you for that. That means a lot to me.
Awesome. Well, thanks for calling in. Call back anytime. Take care. Good luck on your journey.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Good night. All right, chat. We're going to wind down the stream here. We got about 2.5 minutes left. Should we take a speed run call? we could pressure someone to share in 2.5 minutes. Would that be rude? We're not going to do that. But yeah, these streams are always a great way to end the night. Always relaxing and thought-provoking, enriching. I love these streams, and I'm always glad that you guys are here for this. So thanks for all the thoughts in the chat, all the food for thought. These chats are always a big resource for the callers. Appreciate all the food for thought. Sorry I couldn't get to more tonight from the chat. Tried to highlight some things. Also, huge shout out to our mods tonight. We had Offcore, Deanna Krebs, Easy Cheesy, and I believe it was those three tonight. I didn't see any other names. You guys are awesome. Thanks for keeping the chat clean and keeping us on topic. We didn't have any bots tonight. That was kind of nice. No porn bots. The porn bots were rampant the other night. Offcore was going to battle with the porn bots. Goodness gracious. They picked the wrong stream. Like, is this really the stream they're targeting? Goodness gracious. They're barking up the wrong tree here. Thank you guys so much. This is awesome. And we do these 3 times a week on Sundays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays, 9 p.m. Central. That's 10 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Pacific. And I will see you guys Sunday. Have a great start to your weekend. I'll see you then. Good night, everybody.